Hello friends, welcome to another one of my video in this series of videos where I'm trying to cover the topics that are a part of the AWS Certified Machine Learning Specialty Examination. Today we are going to talk about data engineering and more specifically about AWS S3, which is one of the most prominent service and especially with regards to machine learning, it's very important. So overall, AWS S3 is basically S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. It allows for storing files and basically it's allowed files and data into certain AWS directories. Now the files that get stored are called objects and the directories are nothing but buckets. Now buckets must have a globally unique name when we store or when we talk about creating or buckets, defining buckets under S3. Those have to be unique. What that means is if somebody has already acquired a same name for a particular bucket that you are trying to use, you will not be able to reuse it. It has to be unique across not only just your account, not only just your organization, but globally. So that's something important to understand. Then the full path of the bucket is also called the key. Basically, when we store certain object and when we have the object at a particular location in S3, visually we may feel like or we can see that this might look like a conventional directory structure where the file is present in a particular directory, but in essence it's actually a long key for that file. So it's just a reference path for that file which contains these different entities separated by slashes. They are not actually physical directories. So that is something important to understand. Now each object has a maximum limit of size of 5 terabyte. We cannot store any object of size more than 5 terabyte. That is also another important thing that we need to keep in mind while using S3 for objects or data storage for any of our machine learning related tasks. Okay, now more specifically getting into how S3 is useful with machine learning, it's actually the backbone for some of the key machine learning services like SageMaker. It is also one of the core services related to data lake formation in S3, and there are certain advantages that we get while using S3, like it has no restrictions on the size and we don't have to do any excessive or an explicit provisioning whenever we want to increase our size or add more data within S3. Also Amazon promises a very high availability, and it's called the famous 11 nines availability, which means 99.9 times 9 percentage availability of S3. So literally there is no downtime for S3. Also another important key thing to understand is S3 basically allows us to decouple or segregate storage from any of the compute services. So when we talk about decoupled or kind of systems in cloud or serverless systems, in essence what it means is the storage is not tied up to a particular server or it's not tied up to a combination of services. That's where the coupling or tight coupling can happen, and that's why S3 is a decoupled system which gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of how we can separately scale our data set and as well as our additional services or compute services. The key compute services that we can use with S3 includes EC2, Athena, Redshift, Recognition, Glue, etc. And like I said, these are decoupled, so that gives us a really great advantage. Now another thing is S3 has a centralized architecture. What that means is all our data will be present at the same place, so we don't have to basically manage our data across S3 locations. Whenever we when AWS will take care of that from itself. Now when it comes to what kind of data gets stored in S3 in terms of what we need for machine learning, it can support multiple types of file formats, and the most common formats that are really widely used with machine learning like CSV, JSON, Parquet, Avro, ORC, Protobuf, etc. All these formats are supported by S3, so that's another advantage. Now coming to another key concept in S3, which is the data partitioning in S3, which I briefly touched earlier. When we see the different types of files having a particular structure like a folder name, then a location, and then the file name, like I was saying, it is not actually physical folders, but it's just the way a key is defined for a particular file. Now these keys can have partitioning schemas, and partitioning essentially means how we want to arrange our data, and based on our requirement or our use case, the partitioning approach should and must change actually. For example, if you want to access our data based on a segregation on date, then we should use a partition scheme which uses date. And in another case, if you want to partition our data in a very specific format where, let's say, we have a unique identifier for each of the entity, for example a product ID in case of product, so we should partition our data using that kind of a structure. You will see the examples here. If you want to partition our data by date, so what we need to do is, if you see here, when we define our structure, or when we define our objects in S3, how should do it is like this: bucket name, then maybe the next level of indentation, the data set, then we have to have partitions on year, month, day, hour, and then the actual files. What it does is our data will be uniquely and in an ordered fashion arranged within S3, where we can actually access the data based on an hourly segregation. So that is sometimes really useful. Again, it depends on our use case. The other example, like I said, was based on partition based on product. So in that case, we can see here that here we have partitioned it based on a product ID. So if you want to get data for a particular product ID, all that data will be available at exactly the same location. So this is really a good approach when we talk about how to manage our data. And of course, depending on our use case, like I said earlier, the partition can really help us in having a great advantage in terms of how the data needs to be used for our machine learning problem. Now, some of the tools that really help us with this is Kinesis. Examples of those are Kinesis and Glue, and we will probably be touching upon those in some of the later slides when we move on. Now coming to basically, I wanted to showcase how we can actually use the S3 partitioning in terms of with an example. So what I have done is I have logged into my own AWS console. It's my personal account. Here what I'll show you is I'll create one bucket and try to create a manually create a partition based on date. So for that, let's create one sample bucket. Like I said, we have to remember that the buckets have to be unique. So let's say I am trying to create my sample bucket, and if this bucket is not unique, then it will not allow me to create this bucket, and I'll choose the area or the region which is closest to me. Rest everything else I will I'll keep that as default for now, and then I will create a bucket. Now you can see, because this bucket name is not unique, it will not allow me to create this bucket. So maybe I'll have to say 098 for example, just to create. Okay, even this is not unique, so let's say my sample bucket for video. Okay, so let's see if this, now it will allow me to create this particular bucket. Now I have my sample bucket. In this bucket, what I will do is I will try to create a partition. So basically, to create that, I will create one folder. Let's say I will call the folder as data set, and I will create this folder. And okay, once I have created this folder, we'll go inside this and I'll try to create a partition based on date. So for example, I'll put today's now I'll put another folder for the year, and I will create this folder. Then I will, within that year, I will create a folder of, let's say, month. So this is okay, not here. So I will create another folder which will be based on month, and okay. So and then I will create, let's say, another folder which is based on date. So for that, we'll create another folder. So today is 2nd of March. So this is how I'll create, and in this folder now I'll try to upload one sample file. Okay, what I'll do is okay, let me try to upload a file. So I will choose add file, and I will go to sample files, and I'll choose this. Okay, now I have chosen one CSV file, and then I will try to upload it. Okay, so now I have this sample file. Now if you'll see here, if I will this is the file that I have chosen. If I click on this file, it will open this file. So this is just a sample kind of file that I've created with some sample data. If I want to download this file, I can download the file from here. and once downloaded we'll open and see the file. So it's a CSV file, and I have opened this. Okay, this should have opened. Yeah, so it is asking me to choose the attributes, and yeah, so okay, a little bit slow here. Okay, it's not working. So what I'll do is I'll try to open that file in some other maybe in Notepad, and you'll see the file. Yeah, so this is the file. This is just a sample file with some sample data into it. So yeah, so this way we can actually partition the data based on date, and if you will see here, you can clearly see that it's basically now my data is being partitioned using date, where in the dataset folder I have the year, month, and the date. So this is how we can actually do the partitioning stuff in AWS, and I hope this would have given you some idea around it. And yeah, in the next set of videos, I'll try to touch on the next areas, or the next kind of the next topics that we want to cover. I think it will be AWS Glue and related services. So I hope this video will be useful. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Yeah, thank you.